What is your favorite vegetable to eat? Not like to hang out with or like spiritually or whatever.
And by that, you mean like what the colloquial way we understand vegetable versus fruit. Like I couldn't say strawberry, for example, because that's a fruit.
I swear to God, until you said vegetable, I was absolutely certain you were about to say, and you mean the colloquial way we use the word favorite. Now tell me that doesn't sound super on brand for you.
Yeah, it does. No. It totally does. Sure.
Because I know that this incredibly innocuous question is way harder for you than like almost everyone else I've ever met. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want fruits. I don't want fruits. But if there is something that we tend to lump in with vegetables that is technically a fruit, I'd consider it.
Oh, like a tomato?
I'd consider a tomato. Potatoes are out. Don't do potatoes. That's a whole other deal.
Oh.
Yeah, no, a potato's a potato. Because it is too. If you go play, like people like eat your vegetables, they're not talking about a potato.
Okay. I mean,
that's a separate thing. I'd have to ask you what your favorite kind of potato is, which is a whole other. I think potatoes deserve their own question.
But if I said corn, even though that's a grain, does that count as a vegetable?
I would give you corn. But that's because I've had to make allowances for this part of the country, which is funny because we make plenty of sweet corn in Oregon, but there it's not frequently considered like it's kind of a starch as well. Like, again, if you're like, I want a healthy meal, we need some vegetable. Corn is not usually one of the ones you would have there. But I mean, but also, does any of this apply? Were you gonna say corn? Were you gonna say strawberry?
Well, I might have said
like
potato.
A weird ass. Okay, potato, I understand, but no, that's a separate deal.
And yeah, corn is definitely in the running. What about legumes like beans? Beans count. Peas. Those are legumes.
Oh, and I really like peas. I don't know. How about this? How about you come up with a freaking answer and we'll decide whether or not that one counts. Let's do it that way rather than go through each vegetable. Oh, man. If you want on a TV game show, I think it would just end with you having murdered everyone on set and just be like peeling off your own skin on camera. Like, you have so much trouble with this stuff.
Well, I don't think I have a favorite anyway. I mean, no, I don't think I have a favorite. It's hard to come up with one anyway.
All right. I want you to imagine you're hungry.
Okay.
Maybe you are hungry right now. I don't know how did you eat lunch?
I did eat lunch already. Yeah.
All right, good. All right. All right. I'm gonna make you some vegetables right now. Only one kind though. What you want? I have all of them.
Okay. I'll base it on the kind of frozen vegetables that I have the most of in my freezer.
That sounds like a terrible idea, but go for it. I think you should take this opportunity. This may be because I've been listening.
It's mixed vegetables. Mixed vegetables is what I have most in my freezer.
I mean, mixed vegetables are atrocious. But I did eat a lot of them until I met Trish. Because Trish just can't with lima beans.
Oh, well.
And I'm fine. Growing up, I ate the lima beans. Like, the rest of my family often didn't like them, and they would give me their lima beans. I was cool with lima beans.
I like lima beans. This brand doesn't have lima beans in it.
Oh.
It's all the mixed vegetables except lima beans, which is,
peas, carrots, and beans.
Peas, carrots, corn.
Oh, you got corn. Okay, mine growing up didn't have corn. Mine was peas, carrots, beans, lima beans.
Peas, carrots, green beans, lima beans, and corn, but this doesn't have lima beans in it. But we have gotten like a separate bag of lima beans so I can put them in my mixed vegetables.
I mean, yeah,
I mean,
no, but okay. I sufficiently think you have answered the question I have asked, albeit poorly on multiple levels, poorly. But now I'm asking a different question.
Oh,
all right. Well, I'm asking the same question, but I'm explaining it to you better because you did it wrong. Okay. But to be fair, you answered what I was originally asking, sort of poorly, as we said. Anyway, no, right now, I'm going to make you some vegetables. I have all the vegetables in the world, ones that you rarely get to have, ones that you've always wanted to try and haven't because they're only other places. I have all of the vegetables. What vegetable do you want right now?
But not mixed vegetables.
I mean, is that what you want out of all the vegetables in the world? That your frozen mixed vegetables?
Probably.
Wow.
This is why we have so many mixed vegetables in the refrigerator, because
why are you not the happiest person in the world? If I could get the world's greatest, in my opinion, any kind of food and just have it around all the time, my life would be so awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes for lunch, that's all I have. I'll just put the whole bag of mixed vegetables in a pan, boil them and strain it and just eat that. I'll put like
I've done that before. I've
olive
done that
oil on it.
And peas, because I really like peas. And I'll usually just add some spices and either like some butter, some sort of dairy thing, some butter or some cream cheese or something. I used to do that.
There you go. That sounds good.
It's not bad. But I mean, there's so many exotic things out there.
Well, I mean, something I like that I don't get very often is beets. But it's okay. I don't have to have beets.
It's no frozen mixed vegetables.
No.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Magical Talking Hat Podcast, the only podcast in the world. I don't know. We're still going. I don't.
What's your favorite vegetable? I mean, why were you even asking me this question? Was it going somewhere?
No, I just found myself curious.
Oh, what's your favorite vegetable?
Green peas might be. I really do like green peas, and I don't have them often. Trish is not super fond, although she's learning. I think we've discovered that she didn't like the peas of her childhood. I think we're sort of discovering a little bit. And also because they are nutritionally, they are a little starchier, so they're a little less healthy. Broccoli is a big one in our house. Broccolini. You ever broccolini? Broccolini's real good. Broccolini is like it's a variant of broccoli that's thinner, and so it's like fancy broccoli. And it's pretty nice. I mean, if we go, if we want to stretch vegetable, garlic, green onion. I love green onion. Anything not sweet, I would put green onion in. And I have yet to put green onion in sweet things, but I might. I'm a big fan of green onions. Historically, I'm not a fan of vegetables. Full stop. Growing up was not a fan of vegetables. I ate them because I had to, because I had a household where it's like, no, you gotta eat the freaking vegetables on your plate. So I ate a lot of different ones. Didn't like them. Oh, I might have to change my answer.
Okay.
There is a vegetable, and it is a vegetable that I have fairly regularly, but I love it. And I didn't love it when I was younger. Asparagus.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I freaking love asparagus. And I only very recently have discovered the joy of raw asparagus. Asparagus is really good raw. And something has changed now in my local supermarket. in that it is no longer seasonal, or at least it's like 10 months out of the year. I believe there was a 2-month window in the winter where I couldn't get asparagus, and that was it. Whereas I'm used to, you get like 3 months where you can get it. So something has changed, and it probably has to do with globalized economy, and it's probably exploiting people and is terrible. But I get to eat more asparagus. So
A few weeks ago, we had watermelon,
yes,
really good watermelon. I couldn't believe it. And I wasn't sure where it
it
was
does
from.
seem
but
the wrong time of year for that.
Abby-
but again,
Abby
the
told
weather's
me.
been freaking crazy,
Well, the
and
thing
it's going
is,
to be so much worse next week.
Abby said it was from Mexico.
She said
And-
that, but really, she got it from other sources, if you know what I mean.
Usually when you get things out of season, though, they don't taste as good, either because
No.
they're grown locally, not the normal way, so they don't taste as good, or they were grown far away, and when they're
So they're
picked
kind of
and
old
have,
now.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But-
I agree.
But this watermelon tasted amazing. I couldn't believe it. But from
Probably
Mexico,
the power of GMO.
who knows? It's
I
possible.
melon is one of those things I don't particularly like. I'm working
Right.
on it.
Right, and cucumbers.
No, cucumbers I've got down now.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I have successfully come to where I like cucumbers.
Okay, because they're
I
related.
actually not even tolerate, like cucumbers.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Especially in thing. I like in Asian stuff, like toss some cucumbers with a little rice wine vinegar and soy sauce. Oh, so good. I'm working on black olives, kind of. Currently, I have trouble, but I am trying. And melon, I kind of want to, and I think watermelon is my gateway, because watermelon is the least offensive melon to me. And a good watermelon is really nice.
Okay.
I'm working on cantaloupe. I feel like cantaloupe, a lot of when I work on my food aversions are what is going to solve the most problems in my eating. And cantaloupe is a big one, because any place you go that has fruit salad, unless it's like San Diego or something, is going to be like 60% cantaloupe. So I am working on that. And same thing, black olives show up in a lot of places. I'm not working on green olives because they are the devil's food. And also because not a lot of things just have green olives in them. I started with cucumbers because lots of crap I like has cucumbers in it. So anyway, I'm Tony.
And I'm William, and this is episode 581.
And if it seems small scale that we're starting with vegetables, it's because we have to record 2 in a row, and so we're trying to save up the big stuff.
Yeah.
For later.
Yep.
For those of you just joining us, welcome to the show. We have a hat. It's magical in that it has its own email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com. And people write in to that email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com. And my computer has decided right now it's going to do an automatic virus scan. So that's fun. Anyway, people write into that email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com, with whatever the crap they want. And the hat magically on its own forwards emails to us. We read them. We talk about them if we feel like it. That's the show. And next week, somebody's going to be in Phoenix. I wonder how hot it will be there.
I mean,
here is going to be damn close to 90.
Really?
Yep.
That's what they said. Phoenix was going to be that too, they said.
Yeah. The highs for a couple days next week are 89.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to put the AC unit in the window in the bedroom, because I think we may have to use it. And the lows are going to be like barely below 70. So I think a couple nights we may have to run the AC. Not looking forward to it.
Yeah. I've heard
This
it's going to
weather
be a
is
hot summer, but
bonkers. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It's driving me nuts. And all the rain.
Yeah, a lot of rain.
This is the time of year. My sister's like, why do you live there? You have crazy, you have 80 and then you have snow and all this. But now I'm like, yeah, but we don't have as much rain. And I'm at the point now where when it's gray and rainy for a day, like that'll genuinely depress me. Like more than snowy. I mean, if it's sunny, like I don't bother as much if it's snow. But yeah, so yeah, somebody is going to Phoenix.
Yep. Phoenix next week.
Not a city I've ever given a shit about. Because to be honest, Arizona is probably in my bottom 3 states in terms of I do not care about them at all.
Well, I don't think I've ever been to Arizona, like even to the airport or anything like that.
I've been to the airport. It's called Sky Harbor.
Oh, well, I mean,
it does have a cool name.
So this will be my first time to the state or to Phoenix. And, I'll be in a hotel where all the events will be in there too. So some of the materials I've gotten about being prepared to go have talked about, you're going to have to walk from this place to this place or whatever. So you will be outside for a little bit, but it sounds like for a very little bit, most of the time it's going to be inside. And they also did note what I already sort of surmised, which is it's going to be pretty cold inside. The air conditioner is going to be cranked. And if you're prone to get cold and in air conditioned places like I am, then you probably better have like a sweater or something, even though it's hot outside.
I have another that we used to have that at Applied. It would be really warm in the winter and really cold in the summer because they really had the heat and the AC going.
Cranked up.
That was always kind of funny. I have a piece of advice. Do you wear contacts? Do you have? Okay. Then this is less critical, but I still think it's probably a good idea. Take some eye drops with you, just like moistening ones. In general, and it may be less of an issue because it's sort of spring now, but the Southwest is dry, and that's an aspect you don't ever really think about, is that it dries out your eyes, and it's really bad if you're somebody who wears like contacts or something like that. But you be prepared for dry eye. So just buy one of the little things.
My hands are really sensitive to dry air. Should I take like a moisturizer or something to have it with me? Or
might not hurt. Because I mean, again, it may be less of an issue because it's not the height of summer or whatever. But my sister used to live in New Mexico, and I would visit, and it's very dry. It's kind of like how other people don't understand when we say it's really humid here in the summer.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't. It is humid. So I'm telling you, no. It is not humid. Very, very dry. I hear because through the magic of, I don't know, I can hear all of our many listeners currently living or having spent wonderful times in Arizona saying, what the fuck is your problem with Arizona? And I'm gonna tell you. So climate wise, I do not like the Southwest. Landscape wise, I like to look at it. I don't like to be in it. It's basically just desert and plateaus, and it makes for wonderful pictures. Not a good thing to hang out there. On top of that, Arizona, to my mind, due to terrible stereotypes and whatever, and again, the fact that they were like the only state that voted not to have Martin Luther King a holiday back when it was still up to the states. Arizona is full of basically two things, which overlap a great deal: old people and racists.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that all of each are all of the other, but there is some overlap there. And it doesn't help that I happen to know personally a decent handful of both old people and racists and old people racists who now live in Arizona. So That doesn't help.
Oh.
So all of these things together are just like, yeah, I can fucking do with that. So, that being said, I have known people who've gone to Phoenix and had fun. I mean, it's a big city, so this should, but you won't even be involved in that. You'll
Probably
just
not.
be, I assume, just taking turns psychoanalyzing each other. Like you'll pair off and be like, "What's wrong with your childhood?" I assume that's how this stuff goes.
That'll be part of it for sure. Yeah.
Yelling
Well,
and pointing like that while you do it.
Well,
what's wrong with your child?
it kind of depends on your
Just start
theoretical.
every therapy session that way.
It kind of depends on your theoretical orientation. So if you're Freudian, you'll
And aren't
say,
we all, so to speak?
"You hate your dad, admit it." You'd say that. If you're a Jungian, you'd say, "Tell me all about your dreams." You know, it's all
right,
pointing
all right.
and yelling,
That's
But
yeah.
but you might be asking
mean,
different types
yeah,
of questions.
Therapy. That is fascinating. But yeah, the basic, yeah.
Yeah, if it's Carl Rogers, "I respect you," you know, that kind of stuff. But it's all pointing and yelling.
If it's Fred Rogers, move into my neighborhood.
Yeah, all pointing and yelling though. I mean,
Okay,
that's amazing. You haven't even taken graduate school classes, and you know that's
well,
the big
I've had several therapists.
Oh,
I've
right.
been pointed at and yelled at many times. And weirdly, just by amateurs also, just in life. I get pointed. It's part of why I have processed so much of my past trauma, and I'm such an enlightened and balanced individual now, is I have been pointed and yelled at a lot.
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, you know, whatever works.
All the time. Yeah. So how's your week been?
Oh, it's all right. We finished the second season of Picard. The second season of Picard is not good. I did not like it at all. It's one of these deals where, you know, you watch a first season of something, and let's say for the sake of argument, it's a pretty good first season, and it ends in a way that's interesting and compelling. And then when season 2 starts, you get the clear impression that the people who made season 1 were pretty skeptical that they were going to get a season 2.
Yeah.
So the season starts with, like, maybe there's a time jump of a year or two, and which undoes everything that was at the end of season 1, because they didn't think they'd have to deliver on any of that.
Yeah.
And then they have something completely different that's clearly not very well thought out or anything. So you're like, yeah, you guys, I mean, I get it. When someone gives you a first season, you don't know how it's going to go. You know, you put it together and it's a nice, neat package and everything. But when they give you a second season, well,
you gotta
do the work. You can't just dial it in.
The Good Place, I think, is a good example of how to actually do this, because
I agree.
Talking with Mike Schur, they didn't plan past the first season.
Really? Wow. You can't tell.
Well, but they knew they might have to.
Oh,
but they worked out the first season, and then they're like, okay, and then it was a hit, and they got back, and they're like, okay, now we have to work out the rest. So they planned the first season, and then they literally planned the remaining 3 in completion, but they worked at it, and it fits. And like you said, you can't tell.
No, you really can't tell.
Narratively, it makes sense to me. There is a good arc in the first season. And the rest, I don't know. The rest of them do feel more like a single arc. 2, 3, and 4 seem more like a single arc to me.
Sure.
Than 1. But it works fine. It's great. The story is great, and they build on it well.
Well, even, you know, I talked at length about Discovery and how it seemed like they were constantly catching up with various audience responses and everything like that. But it worked. When they did it, it was fine. And we liked watching Discovery. We look forward to watching more. But I thought the second season was just not good at all. You wouldn't have thought the people who made the first season made the second season. But
the trailer, having watched any of this, the trailer for season 2 of Picard was just hey, remember this actor? Hey, look at this actor. Hey, look at this actor. And also, they made it clear in it that time travel was going to be involved. And I was like, God damn it, Star Trek. Do you not know? Like, if I had Paramount Plus, that might be enough to convince me not to watch because Star Trek is the worst with time travel.
Well, and even though
And they use it a lot. They're so bad.
Oh yeah. Well, and almost every time they use it, it's a crutch of some kind too. It's not like, compelling or a cool solution to a problem. No, you can tell it's a Hail Mary for them to use it. And it looks like it's a Hail Mary the whole
thing
time.
where they're like, how can we get everyone in goatees? I guess that's more Mirror Universe, but they combined the two in a couple of ways.
Well, a corollary of that is, how can we get characters from different eras in the same show? That's a big one. That's a huge one. Because here's the thing.
Yeah, Voyager did that quite a few times.
I've often said that the original series and all the movies and everything are really about Spock. And most of the other shows, if they feel like they really need a boost for story wise, they'll throw Spock in there. So Spock will show up. If he's old enough, they'll go back in time and meet Spock. Someone will be related to Spock. I mean,
it's true. There's a lot of Spocking.
They always, and you can't blame them again, because the original, when we sat down just as a project, we watched the whole original series and all the movies, and that was the thing that tied it all together was Spock. His story, his struggling with being half Vulcan, half human, all of it. And it was actually an interesting and kind of moving arc that he had. It was kind of cool. But then after we did that, we couldn't help but notice how often, well, like the reboots, right? Spock's in the reboots because yeah, of course he is. He's the guy. He's the anchor to really the whole project.
To be fair, I also think of the original cast, he's the best actor. No insult to Nichelle Nichols or George Takei or Chekhov. God damn it.
Oh yeah, what's that guy's name?
Walter Koenig.
Yeah.
All great. Absolute insult to Will Shatner. Fuck off. And DeForest Kelly. I mean, yeah, I'm sure you had fun. And James, both of you are dead also, so I don't care. But Leonard Nimoy's the best actor out of that cast.
Well, the thing is, nobody has been able to play a Vulcan like him, because somehow he could do the whole logical thing, but with incredible pathos that everybody else does Vulcan just by shutting everything off. That's not the way. That's not the way Leonard Nimoy did it.
Although the actor who played Sarek, his dad, who also played the first Romulan we ever encountered in Star Trek, did pretty well. We had a plot line in him for a few episodes, and it was I think he showed up on Next Gen. You can cheat a lot with Vulcans because they're fucking old. So
I don't know if, Picard hasn't done anything Spock yet, but I'm just waiting for them to get desperate enough to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Get onto the original Enterprise.
Get him anymore. So, but I don't know what Zachary Quinto's doing. So,
well, there is someone else currently playing Spock, so that they could get.
Oh, Spock is in one of the other shows?
Yeah.
It's all Spocks all the way down.
All the way down.
Just Spocks.
This is what I'm saying.
The universe is held up by 4 giant Spocks on the back of an enormous Spock, and then a Spock under that, and Spocks all the way down.
At least we got the title of this episode.
I was gonna say we got the episode title out of the way.
It has to be. That is fantastic. I love it. Spocks all the way down. Outstanding. Well, how was your week?
We have finished season 2 of Doom Patrol.
Oh, okay.
Which I was a little annoyed because season 1 wraps up its story and then kind of teases the next stuff. Season 2 just stopped before the last episode. Like, clearly the first episode of season 3 is actually going to be the last episode of season 2. Because it's one of those, we've set it for the final fight, the big showdown next time. I'm a little bit annoyed about that because we do them in seasons. So
next time.
I have hit a point with Doom Patrol where I don't think we can use words like good or bad.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I've watched all
It's
of the episodes. I'd say that's fair.
Here's what I'm gonna say about Doom Patrol. It is very thought-provoking to me. It is frequently emotionally evocative to me. It is often, half of the time, maybe, entertaining to me. Maybe more than half the time. These things are inherently of value, in my opinion.
Okay. Mine too. Yeah, I agree.
Which is why I continue to watch it. I do not think you can call it a good show. I do not think you can call it a bad show. Because I'm not positive you can call it a show. It's one of the weirdest series I've ever watched.
It's pretty weird.
It's the brilliant creativity of it sometimes is amazing. The stupidity of it is sometimes amazing. The ever branching narratives and weirdly woven together paths are incredible. And then other times they just decide to forget about many episodes they've done. Like, continuity is a helpful suggestion that sometimes they do. And it has some of the best and worst storytelling I've encountered on television. Like, it's so good and so bad and so boring and so incomprehensible all at the same time.
Yeah, it's all those things for sure.
That, again, I find value out of watching it, and it is very I think about it a lot. And I am reaching the point in my life where that is often one of the primary novelty and stuff that I keep thinking about are things I value in my stuff. Because if I enjoyed it but I immediately forgot about it, like The Bubble on Netflix was a fine movie, was a funny movie, I laughed, I already have basically forgotten. And I don't forget Doom Patrol. Also, it's got some actors that I really like, but it's also introducing me to some actors that I like now, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, I think it's good to take it in discrete seasons because it takes a lot out of you to watch it. You're like, oh. I was not. It dealt with subject matter I did not enjoy. I do not think it was superfluous or gratuitous, but I just didn't like it, and I sort of had to sit through and be like, I hope they finish this part of this episode soon, because I'm like, I don't need to know this, I don't want to know this, I don't enjoy this. But it wasn't so bad that I had to quit, so that's good. Yeah, we are also 2 episodes away from the end of Schmigadoon, which is fun. I'm glad it's as few episodes and as short of episodes as it is. A little goes a long way, but it's very fun. I would recommend it.
Okay.
If you like musical, well, I mean, actually, here's the thing: if you like I'm gonna say early 20th century musicals, like none of this, pre-Cats. If you like musicals pre-Cats, Cats is frequently lauded as sort of the beginning of a new era. And when Andrew Lloyd Webber did a lot of his stuff and things like that, Cats was sort of the start of the modern musical. If you like the stuff before that, if you like Rodgers and Hammerstein stuff, or if you don't like it and like mocking it, in either case, you will enjoy this. Because the show is very much in that vein, and that's clearly the kind of musical we're dealing with, but it also points out things. And in particular, it's fun because it's theoretically set in the present day, and people sing, and they will sing things that are incredibly problematic in this day and age, and they will like call that out and they play with that thing. So if you like that kind of musical, or if you like mocking that kind of musical, either way, it's good for that. And again, half-hour episodes, only 6 of them, which I think is good, because I think too much would go further. But we've enjoyed it quite a bit. Then we just yesterday started watching something on the suggestion of a listener. It is not a listener who is publicly known, so I won't say who it is, but there's a listener who told me they thought I might like The Tourist on HBO Max. They were concerned, they said, because it does get dark, but they said it was very clever in a way they thought I would like. I have since determined, I think the word clever here means that it's a black comedy, because it definitely has funny bits. Quite a few of them, actually. It is a 6-episode series of hour-long episodes. And like I said, it's on HBO Max. And I would say it is in the drama, suspense, thriller sort of area. But again, with some comedy in it. And the protagonist or the main character of it is played by Jamie Dornan, who I think most famous for being Christian Grey in the 50 Shades movies. We first knew him as the huntsman in Once Upon a Time. And he's also the guy who interviews Hervé Villechaize in My Dinner with Hervé, the movie I talked about a different time. He's in a lot of things right now. He's a very attractive man, and he frequently gets cast in things that call for a very attractive man. In this movie, he is he's got his normal accent, so I guess he's playing a dude from Ireland in Australia. And we encounter him having an altercation with somebody. We have no backstory, in which he gets in a car wreck, and he wakes up from the car wreck in the hospital, and he has no memory of anything, of who he is, what he was doing, and he has no ID on him or anything like that. And so he tries, and this is in the middle of the Australian outback. It's actually a small town in the Australian outback. And then what follows is I'm not going to say Coen Brothers-esque, because it's not. I'm going to say heavily Coen Brothers influenced. You would never mistake this for being made by the Coen Brothers, but clearly whoever made it is a big fan of the Coen Brothers. Sort of branching lines of, maybe he's a guy who's mixed up in some hinky shit, and maybe there's some people who want to find him, and maybe other people know things, and like lots of little mysterious things, and some people are pretending not to know him, but they do know him, and that kind of stuff. There's very strong shades of Fargo, the TV series, throughout this. And we're liking it so far. I think it's pretty fun. It's got good performances. Again, not a place I would want to hang out, but to look at it, the Australian outback is gorgeous. So we're watching that, and I think I would recommend that to most people. It hasn't gotten too fucked up yet. Not for the kiddies, that's for sure. I'm trying to remember. I feel like I've seen movies lately, but I don't ever remember them. So probably I've been listening to a lot of podcasts.
Is that good?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I say a lot of podcasts. I've been listening to a lot of episodes of the podcasts I already listened to.
Oh, okay.
Because I've Off Menu Podcast and the Adventure Zone, which is where the McElroy brothers play D&D, had many episodes before I ever discovered them. So I have a lot of backlog to go through, so I can go at my own pace. And lately, it's been a lot. I haven't been into music as much lately. I've been doing podcasts when I'm doing chores and stuff like that. Because that's the thing nowadays. When I'm doing chores, I've either got the Bluetooth speaker or my headphones going, because it helps a lot. So these headphones here, sorry, if you're just listening at home, I have a pair of purple headphones on. Nowadays are just my computer headphones.
Yeah.
I only use them here, as I talked about. These are my everyday ones, mostly because they are waterproof and sweatproof.
Mm.
These ones are not. And I'm not usually wet or sweating while I'm at my computer. Isn't that good? These other ones are very handy in that when I turn them on, a little voice says, power on, battery, and it'll say either battery high, battery medium, or battery low.
Mm.
And then it'll say phone one connected when it's hooked up to my phone. And these are very handy things to know. So what I do with that is I just do that. And then the first time it says battery medium, I'm like, okay, I'm going to charge it then in the future because I always am worried about running out of charge. These ones make a sound, like make a chime when they turn on. And then you hear a beep when it connects to something. Nobody says anything. Nobody tells me where the battery level is.
Okay.
Except at the very end, when it's almost dead, a little heavily digitized voice, like it's so digitized, it sounds like it has a thick accent, and I don't think it actually does. But very softly, as if in the distance, as if weak from exhaustion, says, please, charging. Please, charging. And nobody fucking told me it did that. And so the first time I had that, I freaked the hell out. Nobody, it does not mention that in the instructions or anything. It's just a little, please, charging. Please, sir. Please. Anyway, I bring this up for two reasons. One, I was using it just like last night and it did that. And I realize now there's actually a quality thing I can hear also that will be a tip off because it was sounding, there was weird like background noise and stuff and I was like, maybe it's this video. And then I would stop and like, no, it's still there. And now I realize that's probably because it's starting to go to shit. And the second reason I bring it up is because we got 2 episodes of phone. I'm just trying to kill time here. So here you go. But yeah, so I just charged these. If I hadn't, I don't know what I would have done. Probably used these. But you know, all right. Should we question? Should we email? Should we
Sure.
do that thing we claim that we do, but not
Yeah.
very often or well? All right, you read one.
Oh, you do it. Okay.
I try and keep track of if you happen to know that you went first last time, I'll go
No,
first. But I just guess.
I was just imagining like a film or something where everybody has artificial intelligent assistants, androids that walk with you, and then whenever they're about to run out of charge, they personally feel like they're dying, so they're like begging you to plug them in.
Please, charging.
And then if you don't, they have a whole death scene kind of thing. But then when you plug them in and charge them, they come back to life, so it's fine.
I feel like this happened in several 80s comedies, Short Circuit in particular. But I feel like this is the thing because in the 80s, we liked to make machines that like had personalities and were little like mascots and stuff. And frequently at the climax of the film, like they're almost out of juice. And they're like, oh, I love you. And then you just plug them back in. So it's fine.
Anyway,
Beth, I need to watch Short Circuit again, but I'm scared to watch Short Circuit again because overall I want to see how it holds up and if it's funny because I love that movie at the time. But I already know it has one of the most racist performances in the history of any because it has white guy Fisher Stevens playing a very stereotypical Indian character, such that as a small child, I thought he was Indian. I didn't realize it. And I'm not looking forward to that. But that movie was so impactful on me as I was just the right age that I loved that shit. I want to see how the rest of it is, but I still would have to put up with that. And honestly, I've never been a big Fisher Stevens fan anyway, let alone racist Fisher Stevens. And full disclosure, Fisher Stevens has apologized for that performance. He gets it. So, but doesn't mean it's not still there.
Okay.
Sorry, Beth was going to say something. Whatever.
Beth says, please sing the Ray Charles song you mentioned in the episode where you counted the number of states you've visited. And she references episode 576. That wasn't that long ago.
I can only remember parts of it.
Okay.
The chorus of it goes 50 nifty United States from 13 original colonies. 50 nifty United States. And then another line here that probably ends the stanza. And I remember the 50 states, which I'll do. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa. I was told when this happened that people from Iowa pronounce it Iowa. And then I moved here and found out that was bullshit. Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. And then after you sing that, there's a part where you say, but in our cool, collected, objective, unprejudiced opinion, and then whatever your state name is. So we said Oregon is the best of the 50 nifty, and then it goes from there. And I think that's most of the song. I think there's a preamble to the first chorus of some sort.
Iowa is the only state that's pronounced wrong.
Yeah, and I legit was told that is how people in Iowa pronounce Iowa.
Nope.
There are some people, or there were a long ass time ago, some people who pronounced it that way.
Well, I mean, the tribe that I was named after was often called the Iowa. So sometimes people did call Iowa that. And some people from Iowa would call it that sort of, I mean, not as that's the thing they call it, just as a, I don't know, what's that called when someone uses a word the wrong way, just as sort of a joke or as a,
ironically.
Yeah, ironically. Yeah, people would call it Iowa ironically.
And I don't think I've heard anyone from Iowa ever pronounce it that way unless I brought up this exact topic. And I have met some people. I have met some people from deep Iowa, for lack of a better term. And if, as with most states, especially largely rural states, if you get deep into those states, I don't care which one it is, you get people that have some accents. Any state you're in, they got stuff that, like, you need to hear a few sentences before you can start picking up words. And even those people didn't. In fact, those people pronounce it Iowa. Iowa. Never Iowa. So that's some bullshit there. Yeah. Ray Charles wrote the song. It's not a very Ray Charles song. I don't know if he ever performed it. I would imagine not. But yeah, it is super weird. Although, to be fair, over time I worked at it. So now I practice it sometimes because I don't want to lose the gift of knowing all 50 states. It's surprisingly handy talent to have. So yeah, so I keep track of that. In fact, every few years I'm like, oh shit, do I still remember it? And then I like do it in like as I'm going to sleep one night, I'll be like, do it. Yeah.
50 states, that's a lot.
It is from 13 original colonies.
Yeah.
I'm real bad on Canadian provinces.
Yeah, me too.
Theoretically, we had to memorize them for school at one point, but I don't really remember.
Oh yeah. At one point, I memorized all of the countries and capitals and everything else. Knew where they were.
We didn't. We had to do state capitals, and I don't think I could just list them. But if you quizzed me, I would probably do pretty well.
Yeah, I just can't remember any of that stuff. I didn't find it that hard to learn or to recall, but a year later, I was gone. I don't know why I couldn't remember it.
I find this very interesting. The United States educational system doesn't really give a shit about geography.
It doesn't seem to, at least not when I was growing up. I mean,
famously, we're bad at it. Like,
I mean, they taught
in terms of in the world,
right?
Like we're really bad at geography.
I learned all that stuff, but there wasn't anything. It was like one time I learned it, I proved I could remember it, and then they never talked about it again.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I never got a sense that it mattered much. In school, whereas in other countries, you can get a degree in geography. And part of me has been socialized enough that I'm like, what? That's the most useless thing I've ever heard of. And another part of me is like, that would be awesome. Because again, it's in the same family: anthropology, sociology, geography, because it's all of it incorporates a lot of economic aspects, it incorporates politics, and it's basically all of the facts about how that country operates, imports, exports, all that kind of stuff. And that stuff's cool. I think that's fascinating.
Very interesting stuff. Yep.
I could totally, but I don't think you can get a degree in geography anywhere in the US. Except here on the Magical Talking Hat. For just $19.95 a month, you can attend our online university with such teachers as me, and also maybe William if I can bully him into it. And you can specialize in any degree you want from our exhaustive list of geography and video games and Oak Island. So join us and better your life and your family's life today.
I mean, it's called National Geographic for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you read used to be, I don't know if it's still true, but it used to be everything you read in National Geographic was a subject of geography. You know, some of it was historical, some of it was anthropological, but it was all geographic, because they were talking about those things in relation to where the people lived and how they lived there, you know, how they interacted with the land they lived in. And it's just, geography is a far more fascinating subject than people give it credit.
All filtered through white men colonizers.
Well, true, but it doesn't have to be.
Did I talk about Brian Blessed on here?
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
So Brian Blessed, you familiar with Brian Blessed?
I'm not.
You are. Like, you may not remember the name, but you are. Okay. Brian Blessed is a prolific British actor. He is a rotund man with a large bushy beard and a very distinctive voice. You might best know him as Voltan, the leader of the Hawk people from Flash Gordon. He also was the King in Blackadder, in the first series of Blackadder. You've definitely seen him a lot. He is the ultimate boisterous British guy and has a very distinctive voice. He does a lot of voice acting and stuff as well. And he never actually, you might know him because he did the voice of Boss Nass in Star Wars, the head of the people, the head of the Gungans. That was also him. And this will not be as interesting to you because you don't know who it is. This is for people who do know. Because recently, we saw a clip of him on Would I Lie to You? And he was telling a story about how he once went down a river in a canoe that was skippered by an orangutan.
Mm.
And it turned out to be a true story.
Wow.
And it turned out that he made a lot of funny faces and sounds at the orangutan who would do it back. And based out of that, he came up with a lot of the stuff for Boss Nass later on from that. And the orangutan was actually using an oar and doing both sides. And they went like 20 miles down this river. And the orangutan kissed him on the lips at the end and all this crazy ass shit. And it's the kind of thing that's like, this could only happen to Brian Blessed. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, I don't want to live in a patriarchal, colonized, white centric world. Like, these are bad things. If I had to live in that world, I would want to be Brian Blessed. Brian Blessed is my favorite person whose every moment in life he is the most privileged person that I really like. Like, everything about his experience is because he is a white British man.
Mm-hmm.
And like, he's had all these adventures and he's just a super nice guy. And it's all afforded to him thanks to colonialism and the patriarchy, just in such a way. And not that he's particularly complicit more than anyone else, but he's also not particularly pushing back about it. And it's this weird thing. It's like, I really love him and I love his life and I want to be him, except I don't want to live in the world that created him. So
Yeah.
he's my favorite problematic role model.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I don't know. Oh no, because we talked about that. I have to tell you a story that's unrelated to any of this crap. That it was at least tangentially sort of tied in. But it reminded me when I was doing this thing. So recently, I think we talked about a movie I watched called Knight's End. We only talked about it briefly because it wasn't great. It's on Shudder. I think it's exclusively on Shudder, and it's not good. I think I described it as one of those that the people who made it are someday going to make really good movies.
Yeah, you did say.
But this time, and it's about this guy, and he's in his apartment alone, and he thinks there might be a ghost, and he does this thing that he read about with a spirit jar, and he thinks he accidentally released a ghost, and so scary shit is happening. So he contacts a guy whose occult book he read, and most of the movie happens on Zoom or an equivalent because he's alone in his house. So it's mostly him talking to people. And he talks to this guy, and this guy is out of a different movie because this guy, first of all, his background, which we were like, is that a background? No, it's real. There's like 50 candles lit behind him. And he's always sitting, and he's just a real over the top, like, in their dream casting, they got Vincent Price for it. That he's very sorry like this, and is suddenly and weird facial expressions and shit, and he's gonna help him. And I mean, I guess I'm spoiling this movie. Whatever, it's not very good. Turns out in the end, he's a dick. He actually is using this as an opportunity to do some hinky shit and bring about the apocalypse, and he does, and that's the end. But he agrees to help him, and he's like, I'm going to send you my personal spirit jar, and then we will talk you through this. And the end of the movie is a live stream, and it's all the friends and family that were involved in this guy, and they're finally going to do the thing that's going to free the spirit and send it on to the afterlife and everything, except not, it's going to bring about the apocalypse. We don't know that yet. And guys, like check the jar there, open it up. It's like, okay, it's like, I put some things in there that would work as offerings. It pulls, it's like, yeah, there's a little tobacco and some other things there. It's like, and you'll also find something else in there. And the guy reaches in, and he goes, oh my God, and immediately on cue, the guy on the thing says, my thumb, and holds up like a bloody bandage thing. But like, it was a fun surprise. He's like, my thumb! Ah! And it's the thing that will stick with me for the rest. We still use it to this day. Trish and I, one of us will just be like, my thumb, because it was out of fucking nowhere, and it was out of some sort of weird comedic pantomime in an otherwise quite serious horror film. It's like, ah. So when I was doing this earlier, I was like, myself. So that made me think. So yeah, watch if you have Shudder, watch Night's End and go to like 10 minutes before the end just so you can see that. Anyway, it's not a terrible movie. It's not a great movie. I've seen way worse a lot. That's all we have time for, except we're gonna hang out more, but you won't know about it for a week. So our hot takes will be quite cold by then. So don't accuse us of not having thought it through, because we waited a whole week before deciding to just put it up unedited like we always do.
Yep.
So next week will be exactly the same. I will be wearing the same outfit. William may change. I don't know. He's such a clothes horse. And I won't have initial enrollment figures for Magic Stocking Hat Online University at that time, because how would I know? This hasn't even gone out at that
point.
Right. But I'm going to assume it's in the hundreds, and you should also join because all of your friends are, and better your life with a degree in Oak Island.